How did you two meet?
We met because of Steve, our friend Steve Etcheverry.
Yeah.
Because I'm a West Ham supporter, and then,
okay.
We were watching a game at Full Circle, and then after that game ended, Steve was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to a hot PK for Manchester. You want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't have anything else to do, so I went." And then I show up, I say hi to Steve, and next to Steve is this guy, and I was just staring at him, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't really know him," but I noticed his sweater. And his sweater, it said, it had a Fred Perry logo. I'm like, dude, that's a sick sweater. He was like, yeah, thanks, man. He's like, he told me, like, I'm like, I got it, like, a long time ago. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know what's up. Because, like, I'm, like, really into, like, the whole casual movement of, like, the football supporters. Mm-hmm. And so I look at everybody's, like, labels. I mean, not to, like, judge them or anything, but usually in the football world.
You judge whether they're friend-worthy.
Yeah. Usually in the football world, it's, you know, they're about soccer and football or whatever.
So what is that for the listeners? What's the Steve Perry logo?
Well, it's just that's
the guy who sang for Journey.
Oh my gosh,
Fred Perry.
Fred Perry. Sorry. Subliminal slip. Love Journey.
Yeah, no. It's just a clothing brand that usually, like, everybody in England they wear, like, a lot of the punk skinheads they used to wear back in, like, the 70s 80s. Mm-hmm. And it just got connected with soccer or football. And so, you know, later on, anybody who's into football pretty much just wears the same clothing.
How'd you get into West Ham? I feel like it's crazy because there's like a funny story. There's like a big that's good. Yeah, there's a big contingent of West Ham supporters here in town.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I always kind of wonder how they got into it. I got into it kind of like super late, but the way I got into it is because I was watching punk videos on YouTube. And I found this one band called Non Servium, and they had this video, or a video for a song called Torpedoes. And I was just like, all right, let's click on this one. And I watched it, and I just see people walking. They're just, like, meeting up together, and like there's a slow guitar intro, and all of a sudden you just hear like the guitar just slide his hand up the guitar, and then it says Torpedoes, and all of a sudden you just see everybody in the video start fighting, and I'm like, what the heck is this about? And I just kept watching it. I just watched it constantly. I'm like, dude. And then, like, there was one guy that stood out, and it was Elijah Wood. He was in it, and I was like, well, I know him. He's as an actor, but why is he in this? What's this about? And so I look on the comments, and I'm like, hey, does anybody know what this is from, or what is it, or what movie is this? And some guy said, oh, it's called Green Street Hooligans. And I was like, Green Street Hooligans, okay, let's see what that's about. And it took me years to find it. One time, I think my ex-girlfriend and I, we went to Blockbuster when it was still around. And we were walking around on Friday night. Yeah. And so I see it, and I'm like, hey, that's that movie. And I'm like, let me get it. And so I got it. And then I just watched it with her. And
never returned it, and that's why they went out of business.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. She ended up buying it for me and everything. And so I just constantly watched it. I'm like, dude, what is this movie? I love it. Because, like, I mean, growing up, like, you know, I grew up fighting. So that's why I kind of gravitated towards it.
And that's what that movie was about, is like a fighting movie? It was about
West Ham supporters. And
really? Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, I wonder if this is real. And so I just went on Google, started looking, searching. And I'm like, oh, it's a real team. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then the more I dug into it, the more I went into the history, how they started, like, because the movie is basically about firms, and I looked up their firm, and I just started, I went through a rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. And so I went through it for a couple years before I actually even started meeting up with people here in Fresno that were West Ham supporters. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just how it started, just because of a punk song.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then,
but there's a big amount of people. I mean, I feel like I see you guys, and it's like 20, 30, 40 deep.
I mean,
they're all like under 6 years old, though.
Okay, the young they get them young, huh?
We're a family club. I don't know. I really, like, I'm really interested in finding out how they became West Ham supporters. Mm-hmm. Because, like, the only person that I talked to the most was Steve Etcheverry. Yeah. And he's the one that told me, like, the first time I met him, I was at a game we watched at Bulldog Bistro Burger, and he was like, hey, what's up, my name's Steve. Yeah, like he always does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he just told me, he's like, yeah, man, I've been West Ham since the 90s, this and that. I'm like, here, he pulled out his phone and started showing me these pictures, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's a real deal. And so, like, ever since then, I was just like, all right, maybe I'm gonna start following them more.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because of Steve. like his style, his clothing, and like all the stories that he used to tell me. And I'm like, oh man, this guy.
I used to be neighbors with Kyle with Tex.
Oh yeah.
So he would always try to get me to go. We lived downtown at some lofts, and he's like, "Come on, you got to wake up and come early." And I never made it, but
oh yeah, no, I got
enthusiastic. It turned out better for you.
It did, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So Liverpool. So I mean, you're the Liverpool guy.
Yeah.
How'd you get that?
You know, I mean, it was kind of one of those funny things. You know, we all have our weird stories. Like that's kind of a funny one too. But you know, I mean, of course, I think Green Street Hooligans probably made like a lot of West Ham fans out of people who had never seen it before. But for me, like you know, I just kind of I'd grown up, you know, not really watching pro soccer, you know, but like the World Cup thing was always, you know, like I love World Cup, you know, and every 4 years I'd be like, I'm a massive soccer fan for, you know,
for summer,
like a summer, and then I'd forget about it for a while, but you know, then I mean, thank God NBC started
finally
showing, you know, Premier League matches on the weekends because it was just, you know, just kind of always on, and so. You know, me and my wife Keely, you know, she's a big soccer fan too, and so we just started, you know, kind of throwing the matches on to get through our Saturday morning or whatever, and started thinking, okay, so I guess at some point we have to pick a team, you know,
sure,
and she was leaning towards Man City, and already like I think you know, I think Sergio Aguero did that for her, but. For me, I was like,
he's a likable guy.
Yeah.
The ladies like him. Not to mention he's like 4'2".
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I think his calves are also 4'2" around. But so for me though, I was like, oh, I gotta land somewhere, you know. And I was like, you know, how am I gonna pick a team? You know, there were like a few where I was like, you know, I like their style, I like watching them, you know, like their play, and then I was like, you know, so I kind of think, you know, maybe Liverpool. And then I was like, okay, wait. So who is my favorite band in the world? It's Echo and the Bunnymen, the greatest band to ever come out of Liverpool.
Ah, okay.
Got that? The greatest band to ever come out of Liverpool.
Okay.
That's a big statement. And so I was like, you know,
they've got some competition. I think.
Check,
yeah.
Like, you know.
I was gonna say that too.
So you know, I was like making sure. I was like, okay, Ian, are you a Liverpool fan? And you know, I found he's got pictures of him with the scarves and everything, and he used to go to the matches, you know, and stuff. So. I was like, yeah, all right, Liverpool it is.
Right.
You know, and then it's just kind of one of those things. You start pulling for that team, you know, and then it doesn't take long before you're just like,
you're in
no other team. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know like I got a lot of shit for going to all the Man City matches, and my wife's a big fan of theirs, and I guess they win like a championship every year.
Every other year, maybe something like that.
You know, last year was the better year for me, but it's rough in my household.
She's just beating you up.
Especially today.
Yeah.
When City, you know, went ahead and got their like fourth championship in the third in 4 years or whatever it is.
You know, I felt like they were declining a bit when Leroy Sané, yeah, when he went to Bayern. Like, it just felt like they had something missing for a little bit, and Liverpool obviously had their year last year.
Yeah.
But this year they've come back, and it's just, it doesn't feel like anybody else has really been at like an elite level.
No.
In the EPL. I don't know why it is. Liverpool had some injuries early, and
just
Manchester United was trying to figure it out for a long time.
Yeah.
So it just didn't. I mean, Chelsea's now playing well, but yeah, they just kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, they did.
So how?
I hear a lot of Wonderwall at my house.
Oh my God! Come on.
Sorry, I like Oasis though. They're not my favorite.
So, Skulk, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that are trying to find, you know, as you guys talked about, you found a team that you wanted to support, and then you kind of found a group of people that you wanted to support it with. I think a lot of people out there, as soccer's kind of coming back, are looking for a group of people to share that experience with. You know, how did you guys decide to, you know, branch off and make your own club, and really what is the essence of the club and the identity of it?
Yeah. So okay. I mean, it was kind of in the transition between Fresno Fuego and Fresno FC. You know, it was like there's a new team coming to town. They got new colors. They got a new mascot and all this stuff. And I don't know, there were just a lot of conversations kind of going on online and you know, places and stuff, and everybody's kind of, you know, excited but not really knowing what's coming and all that. And you know, I was thinking, like, for me, I was like, you know, well, I know there's already like this big supporters group in town, and but you know, it has to do with all this fire, and the new team is not with fire, you know, and so it was like change the colors to blue for the team instead of red, and you know, come up with a new name. It seemed pretty simple to me. And there were a few people who were like, "Oh, nah, just go fuck yourself." So and pardon my language, but you know, it was pretty much those words. So but then one of them, he was on the show last night. He actually was like, "Oh, you know, a lot of other teams have multiple groups. Yeah. So you know, if you want to." You know,
start your own.
Go start your own. And I was like, hey, that's not a bad idea. And so then I started talking to, I mean, we keep going back to Steve.
Yeah,
Steve
well,
Etch.
we met like a year later. I mean, I think I did meet up with you guys once, but I had some other stuff going on, so I didn't really attend games that much. But like for me, the way I joined with him is the same thing. Like we were like all a part of Fuego, and then little by little, I was just like, oh man, I mean, this is cool, but I don't know if it's for me. And well, the same thing with Steve. He's like, hey man, why don't you sit over here? We're gonna sit to the side of him. I mean, we're gonna be singing our own songs. And I'm like, all right, I'll go. So like, I started hanging out just with Steve, and then that's where I met Mike Colonel for the first time. And so we were just talking. I'm like, hey man, I like your shirt. And he's like, yeah, it's this really cool punk band from Germany. I'm like, oh, you're into punk? He's like, heck yeah, dude. And so the way I connected with them is basically through music. So like your Paul, Junebug, they all like punk music, and that's some of the music that I gravitate towards. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start hanging out more with these guys. Because like, okay, all right, to be honest, there was one chant that really pushed me away from the Fuego, and that was the chant they made for based off of a Kanye West song, and I was like, oh man, I really don't like that song. And so I was like, yeah, I don't think this group's for me. And so later on, when I met this guy, we exchanged numbers, and then he started messaging me. He was like, hey man, I have this cool design for the scarf. What do you think? And I'm like, why are you asking me, man? We just met. And I'm like, but if you want my input, I mean, I'll give it to you. And so that's how we just started, like basically growing out of that, just like talking more and coming up with designs for the Skulk, and it just went from there.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like, and I think I've said this before, but I think it's cool for teams to have different clubs, because in my opinion, it's like, not everybody wants to have the same type of experience when they go to a match, or before or after the match. And so I think it's cool that there are a diverse group of individuals in groups where you can have whatever type of experience you want to have. I mean, my one wish, I guess, from the club perspective, is that on game day, there's at least some chance that come together, and it's kind of one unison thing where like the opposing team feels like, oh crap, we've got this big opposition of the supporters club all rallying against us. And I think that takes time, you know, and I think it felt like some of those things were kind of starting to happen towards the end of Fresno FC, so I really hope that kind of stuff at least continues a little bit.
You know, and I agree, but I mean, it's just like, not hard, but I mean, I think we just all need to be on board with that. Like, I mean, there's something that you said on the previous podcast that I really agree with. You said that our team is not just playing against local teams. We're pretty much playing against the world, and that's the same thing the way I see it with our supporters. Because I mean, we're not just competing with, like, you know, small clubs around the U.S. or like even the supporters with the MLS. We're not competing against just them. We're competing with everybody. I mean, worldwide. I mean, this whole football supporter culture is just massive. And so, I mean, there's like, from my perspective, the U.S. it's viewed as like how can I say it? Not as a joke, but they're just not taken as serious as everybody else all around the world. And so that's something that I would like to see, like, to just grow. And if we could do that here in Fresno, even if it's just for us, I mean, I'd love that. You know?
I mean, you think about it, it's like we do have opportunities in Open Cup. We have opportunities in international friendlies if we bring teams in from Mexico or from other countries.
Right.
Or it's like Fuego once played Ararat from Armenia, and Christian Cheney gets signed, but it's like those teams are playing all over the world.
Right,
you know what I mean? And
exactly.
when they come to Fresno and they can walk away with it saying, "Damn, their supporter section
exactly.
is lit!"
So,
like it's impressive. I mean, that's how you got to start. I think LAFC's done a really good job.
Yeah.
I think they, and they invested a lot of time and effort into giving their supporter clubs as much resources as possible to grow and to help them, be successful. And I think for us, that's got to be the same thing, is like working hand in hand with the club and the supporter clubs of like, how do we help you guys grow? How do we help you have whatever resources you need? How do we make it easier for you to get into the stadium and to, help get tickets to your family members or friends that want to come and stuff like that? So it's got to be like a collaborative thing, and I think once again, it takes time, and the rest of the world's had 100 years probably in advance of us when it turns, in terms of really high level club play. So, but I think we can get there.
Yeah, it's just the matter of the way I see it. I mean, I know Chris has we've discussed this before. I mean, he has his view, I have my view, but the way I see it is we have to get all the leadership from each group to meet up together and then just discuss everything. I mean, like,
it's hard to get anybody. I mean, it's hard to get two people to agree on anything nowadays.
Right.
To get a whole group of them, it's difficult. I understand it.
So I mean, like Squad, they do that Kanye chant. I can't do that. Like I don't know, my punk roots or whatever.
Right. So would you guys think that Skulk in a way is a bit punk? I mean, both of you guys seem to have the DNA.
That's where like a lot of us, when we were like, we first were kind of meeting. We were meeting off site. Meeting over at Full Circle, across the tracks, we're on the punk side of town over there, you know what I mean? And so, but it was all of us who were already like, people he's named, Mike Colonel, Steve Echeverry, Paul, we're all already, that's what's pulled us together in the first place. And so
for people who don't really get it, what's punk?
Oh, dude,
what's punk in a soccer sense and a supporter sense?
It's funny because it's a wide, range of different music and different styles, and for us it was like, for me, I gravitate towards like some of the old school hardcore stuff, so like Fear and Black Flag and that kind of stuff that when I was a kid, that's what we were listening to, and but then like there's guys like Paul who are the younger set, and so they listen to all these bands. I have no idea who they are, and Mike Colonel is like a world traveler, so he knows all these bands personally that he's met in Norway and Sweden and all these different places, and he's one of those guys who's just like, hey, I brought you like 6 CDs here
just to check it out.
Listen to these bands, and so it's always cool to hear new stuff. So it's
And you play in a band?
Yeah, playing a band.
What do you play?
I play drums in Motel Drive, and I play bass in Sparkle Jet, and I play guitar in the Black Coats.
That's awesome. So you're busy.
A little bit of everything here and there, and so yeah, it's just and we all have each of those bands is a little on the edgy side of things, but it's just it's what I grew up doing, listening to, and how it's it's kind of a state of mind, I think.
And so the Skulk, in a sense, like I feel like I've heard people talk about like the hooligan type of DNA and like the old school type of supporter that's a little bit more rebellious. I mean, is that part of the identity? Is that what you guys want to?
Yeah, of course.
Put out.
I mean, if you want to compare like our personalities with punk music, is that we just we like the freedom and the aggression. That's pretty much what we are. So. Every time we're at a match, we get crazy.
That's it. Like before I met this guy, he was already getting thrown out of a preseason match. Fresno FC hadn't even gotten started yet, and he got kicked out for throwing a beer can on the field.
Jesus.
Yeah. That was a bad day. But.
And it was like, then we like run into him at whatever that place was called. And I was like, that's that guy that got kicked out.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on. We need this kind of, help.
Yeah.
Not that we want people throwing things on the pitch ever.
Right.
We totally
Yeah.
don't condone that action.
Yeah.
No.
Or running onto the pitch.
Can't condone that. Yeah.
I believe that you tackled Gerpaul about center field one night.
Oh, I think I heard about that. Yeah.
And,
I did.
yeah.
That was an interesting experience in my life.
Yeah.
It was like, it was so, well, I mean, first off, I was in just, I mean, I was just in like a polo and some slacks or whatever, and I wasn't by any means trying to be security for the night. And we had CSC, I forget, was it the Leon match?
No, it wasn't Leon. It was.
Yeah, it was Leon. It was Leon for sure. It was an international game, I'm pretty sure. Leon versus Fresno FC.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think it was. If I remember it right, it was the end of the first season in 2018.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was
November.
Story.
Yeah.
Leon, and I'm standing there on the sideline behind the goal, talking to a couple of our players, and Leon's kind of, shaking hands and retreating towards the far side of the field, towards like the center field gate, and all of a sudden I see this dude in like completely out of an 80s like punk rock movie, and he just like jams by me, and I'm like, oh shit, and I just look back, and the CSC guard's like, yeah, I don't know. And so no one's running at him, and he's running like, I mean, at the time, like, it's crazy shit's happening, but I just see like dude with chains on his jacket running towards the Leon players. I'm like, this isn't good. I got to start running. So I start running, and I finally catch up to him, and he's like nearing the Leon players, and we kind of look each other in the eye for a second, and I'm like, don't stop. And he just like books it. And I was like, all right, like I just gotta drive through his hips. So I like pull my head to the side, I like football tackle him and like use his momentum and flip him around, and then I end up somehow on top of him with like my forearm in his throat. It was kind of scary. Like I was like, oh, and he's not trying to fight me.
Right,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? He's like, get your hand off my fucking neck. I'm like, stop running. Stop running. What are you doing? Why are you out here? Like, come on. And then finally, like the other CSC guards come up. Like I walk off. My girlfriend was like, what the hell did you just do? And I'm like, I don't know. It was just instinct. Like I saw him running at them. I had to protect them. But we had an experience. And the funnier part was I think like people went online afterwards and were posting the videos of it.
Oh, wow.
And so my girlfriend went on and tagged me on his post. It was like, I think Chris just tackled you on the field. And we shared a comment or two back and forth, and it was just like, this is a funny life experience.
Yeah, well, totally.
Didn't expect to do that.
No. Yeah. I don't think he ever expected to make it that far.
Yeah.
He got far.
And so once he got past that first barricade, and he's just like running.
Yeah.
He's kind of looking around. And we're just
like, is anyone gonna
dying? We were all dying. Just watching it.
Yeah.
Watching it happen, and then here comes Chris.
There it was. Yeah. There's a good video out there somewhere, but hopefully
stuff.
won't have to do that again.
Well, yeah, hopefully not.
So that's us.
That's you guys. So you're a little wild. So if you're a little edgy, if you're kind of want to be more on the aggressive side of being a fan supporter, then you guys are the right spot for them.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
How do you guys grow?
Oh, geez, right now it's tough. We were really starting to grow at the end of the final season of Fresno FC, and that gutted everybody and killed a lot of momentum for fandom around the town. So but right now we've had a core group that we've stayed not just in touch, but we're like on a daily like chat kind of stuff throughout the whole pandemic,
right?
Because we immediately transitioned after that to go into college teams.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And watching around town. So we were at City College. You guys went out to Reedley, and just I think West Hills a couple of. I think
Moss went.
Yeah, Moss went out to West Hills. Even so, we're just like we were trying to like cover as much ground as possible.
We were trying to watch as much football as we could. Any football that there was available, we'd go out and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. City College had the two best teams and almost double champions.
Yeah.
The men won the state championship. The women, I think they lost the final. But so we were cheering them on, and they were loving that. It was kind of a new experience for a lot of the parents, out there.
Yeah, to see people actually cheering them on.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, I think about there's a lot of negative sentiment, obviously, about kind of the way things went down with Fresno FC towards the end. But the beauty that I saw was like your club was created, and now you guys are like a family. You know what I mean? And going out and supporting other things. It's just like there's a lot of good things that came of it too, and I think it's cool that you guys all kind of stuck together and kept it going.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we all became friends. Like I didn't know Paul when I joined Skulk, and we just connected, and ever since then we just keep talking like punk music or skateboarding videos, or even other like football supported videos. We'll share them with each other. We're like, dude, did you check this video out? And it's like, yeah, I saw that this morning, and we just talk like that. Or like with like Junebug, I really like him just because like I got really into the whole casual movement, so it's all the clothing, the shoes, mostly the Adidas. And I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Oh, dude, you should check out my shoes." And he would show me his pictures. He's got a whole rack filled with Adidas. I'm like, dude, that's what I want. And I'm like, I'll catch up one day. And we just share shoes, or like he'll be like, "Hey, check these out. I found these on eBay. You should buy them." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll check them out." And like, so we keep in contact like that. Or like you said, our core group, we got new people in our group, and we just keep in contact every day. Like Mario, Cinnamon, Hefte, Matt.
So
it's so cool that
these guys showed up like after Fresno FC was done.
Really? So like, at this point, you're just a group of friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, because once we started hitting those other matches around town, and they were like, "Oh, hey, those guys are going out to these matches," so they'd show up and they'd be like, "This is fun," you know. And so it just kind of became what it is right now.
Yeah. Or like with Paco and Fernando, they're really into rock en español, and I'm into that too. So like every time there's a concert or something, "Hey man, you going?" It's like, "Yeah man, I'll be there." And I'm like, so we just meet up and just hang out.
It's so cool that I think soccer provides just like a platform, you know, for people to get together, for all these different things that are happening, all the positive community stuff that we can do, and that's what I think a lot of people are excited about. Like, we're all looking forward to the games coming back and cheering on the players and winning and losing and like all that, but it's more the camaraderie that you have with your family and friends that makes it really special. And I think that's what, like, if there's anything that we could highlight over these couple podcasts that we're doing with you guys and other supporter clubs, it's like, this is a family type of atmosphere. It might be a little chaotic at times, but
we may be the most dysfunctional family, but we are a family.
I come from one too, so that feels like home sometimes.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true, because we're like, you go through such emotions when you're watching a match. I mean, like, I'm already like, I'm welling up right now, because I can feel those moments where you were like, you know, we're down 2-0 or whatever.
Like that Kaffa free kick right in front of you guys towards the end of the year. Like,
and when those guys are pumped and they come out and they're just standing tall right in front of you, and you're just grabbing them, and they're like all, you know, and I mean, you go from these tense moments to just absolute elation. And when you do that with other people, you form bonds, you know. I mean, these are like love, familial, you know, that goes beyond just being friends, you know. And
you know, you got their back.
Yeah, and when you leave, you guys are like best buddies for life,
right?
You know, and that's what it comes down to for us, you know. I mean,
there's a quote that they say, like, in like English football or European football, which is, it says, it's not who's in front of you or what's in front of you, it's who's behind you that matters. And so we all have each other's back. Yeah. So like Chris, like, at first I was just following him, and he started like asking me, like, you know, "Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?" I'm like, "Dude, whatever you want to do. If that's what you decide, I mean, I got your back 100%. Like I later on, like, I was just a supporter, and then I just somehow became their capo, and so we would go back and forth writing songs. And Chris would be like, "Hey man, I wrote this." I'm like, "Oh man, are you sure you're going to sing this one?" He's like, "You're gonna sing it." I'm like, "All right, I guess I have no choice."
Yeah.
So I mean, I basically do whatever Chris says. So like, I mean, I have his back.
And so that's something that's interesting too. I mean, we had Vicente on, and Fire Squad guys on, and I mean, what is it? I don't want to call it a burden, because I don't think leadership is a burden. It's not a burden. It's a gift.
Yeah.
But when you have these group of people that got your back and leading you and looking at you and like following your lead, I mean, what's that like?
It's rough. I mean, because you're always like, you don't, you know, I mean, that kind of feeling, it's mutual too, you know, because it's like, I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to do something that's gonna, you know, piss off enough people, you know, I mean, we're always down to piss off people, but you don't want to piss off too many people, because then you know you can go over that edge and it's no longer like cool, and then you know, but it's just tough, because you want to build momentum, and you want people to have a good time, and you want to make it happen for them, and I think that's part of the leadership. Like, you just kind of you want to make this experience happen. You know, you
feel responsible.
You want to make it to happen for yourself, but you also want to make it happen for everybody else too. And so, you know, and you kind of had these people like George who come in and also want to make it happen for others too. And so it's not like you don't feel burdened. There's a lot of work involved, but if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it, right? You know, and so we did a shit ton of work building to where we were at the end of the last season, and we get to do it all over again soon.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah,
so.
of course.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what's that like? I mean, you guys obviously were formed for Fresno FC. A lot of people know that the roots of Fresno FC came up through the Fuego, basically,
Right.
and now the Fuego's coming back. I mean, what's been the sentiment of, you know, the group of this brand coming back in kind of a second iteration of the Fuego?
It's been a little back and forth. You know, obviously, like, we knew we weren't going to get, you know, what we had. We're going to have something different, but you know, there's something familiar about Fuego, I guess. You know, it's funny. Like, I talk to people during the Fresno FC era. You know, and you talk to people who weren't fans, and you start telling them, you know, yeah, you should come to the soccer matches. It's really fun. And they're like, oh, that's that Fuego team, right? You know, you're like, no, It was 2 years ago, but it's, you know,
right.
It's not anymore. And so, but
it's a confusing story to tell.
Exactly. And so, so that, you know, I'm hoping, you know, for you guys that this will really kind of build on that kind of familiarity again, you know, and so, but we're just all down for whatever, you know.
Yeah, you just want football back.
We want football back, whether it's, you know, we couldn't go to any of this for the women's city college matches this year because their spring training, you know, has all been in like Cal Poly and Bakersfield. They're not letting people in and all that. You know, so it's we're just looking to have something back. We want the, you know, there was a couple of women's leagues coming, summer leagues that I don't know if they're happening still. You know, haven't heard a whole lot about them going on. We want football back. We don't care who it's for, and you know what it's called. I will say that we're absolutely happy that you guys decided to keep El Fuego.
Yep.
Because, you know, that little moniker right there.
That's him.
It still fits.
It does. It does.
You know, we can still be the Skulk. We don't have to change our name, you know.
Right. It's kind of crazy how the story goes full circle, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but we would have done what we had to do, you know.
Yeah.
And I think,
but you guys have like kind of renovated the logo.
We have, yeah. So we've been working on some different stuff, and
we changed the colors.
Yeah,
changed the colors.
We got new scarves that are on sale today, pre-sale.
Yeah, I think we shared them. Yeah, this will post a little bit later, but you can go on Skulk's Instagram. Fuego shared it. So
in fact,
go get them.
The first caller into the show right now gets a free one.
There we go.
Yeah, no, I'll send you the graphics. You can post
we'll share.
But so and you know, we're adapting towards that. You know, we're throwing in the red and black because that's going to be, you know, Fuego colors, and so. You know, we're adaptable. I'd say that too. You know, we like to push all the boundaries we can, but we're always, you know, adapting to the surroundings. And I think that's kind of a punk thing too, because you gotta look around you and see what it's like, and you gotta know when you can run across a dugout and when you can't run across a dugout. You know, when you can throw a beer can onto the pitch, when you can run across the pitch.
That was another one. That was another one that I just remember. I won't name him, but one of my buddies from Reno calls me and he's like, Chris, what the fuck are your fans doing? This guy, who's the leader of one of your supporter clubs, is running across the dugout and then cussing me out up top. I'm the president. I just want to tell the guy, like, calm down, and he's going off on me, and I'm like, oh, God, what was it? Oh, it was Chris. Okay.
That was great.
I was a little excited.
One of those moments, man.
I think anywhere we went, they were not ready for
No, they weren't. Chewy called me because he was like our representative at the game that was supposed to be keeping. He's like, I failed. I just,
you know, I mean, in Chewy's defense, man, he tried.
Yeah,
he tried.
No, I know. Chewy's great.
He came to each one of us, was like, I'll put that motherfucking, smoke bomb out.
Yeah.
We don't get to do that here. And we're just all, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because we liked Chewy. He was a good guy.
Chewy's a good guy.
We didn't give a shit about the president of Reno.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Do you there was a photo taken. Do you happen to have that photo?
I don't.
That's a shame. That's a shame. That photo is lost to the generation.
Oh, I actually saw it. You know what? It's in my old email that's gone now.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
I did. It was a picture of you. Because they were like, this guy.
He asked us to pose for that picture, and it was me and Ollie from Vigilantes.
Okay. Yeah.
And, he'd gotten kicked out too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wasn't going to leave Chris. I'm like, I'll walk out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jordan was good because he was keeping things calm, I think.
Kind of.
Not
at the beginning.
Kind of.
Remember I got mad because they wouldn't let me use the megaphone?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and
So what's that? I mean, what's that like? Being a capo is a really interesting job, and it's kind of challenging, to be honest.
It is, like, especially for me, because I'm typically pretty shy. And so I'm like, Chris, like, because we had a meeting before, like, the season started, I'm like, he was telling me, he's like, oh, I want to do all these songs. I'm like, well, you're going to need somebody to lead those songs. I mean, from what we've seen all over, I mean, not just like Fuego or Fire Squad or anybody else, but we see them all over. They all have a capo, like, especially like Russia, Germany, everyone, every team has a capo. And I'm like, Chris, you're going to need somebody if you want to do these chants. And I'm like, I know Chris was on the drums and he already had like enough on his plate. And I'm like, if you want somebody, I mean, I'll do my best and I'll try it. I'll do it. And he's like, go for it. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm your capo. And so at first it was intimidating because not only am I like singing these chants in front of all these people, I'm also doing it right next to squad.
Yeah, so you're trying to drown out.
They're pretty much established. So I'm like, man, I like, it was a challenge for me.
Trying to find the right timing and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like,
sure.
I'm like, all right, when they stop, I'm going to go. And so we typically try to do it like that. And like, I mean, I'm even thinking about it right now, every time it always, gave me nerves. But like, after a couple of beers, it's like, whatever, let's go for it.
Yeah, you're just having a good time. So, I mean, in your guys' perspective, how, in the new stadium, all right, let's say we get everything we're trying to go for and we get to build a supporter section that's legit and designed for it. I mean, what are some ideas or thoughts of how it could be designed to either support that there are different things going on or support that everybody could kind of chant together for certain things? Like, what do you guys think needs to happen for that to work out a little bit better? Because a lot of people, even Vicente said it, he's like, my friends would tell me it just sounds like noise.
No, of course.
Yeah. Well, here's where we're probably going to start going different
Bumping
directions.
Sure.
Because I don't want to be anywhere near them.
Okay.
I don't want that band in my face ever. I want to be across the stadium from the band, and I want to have some, give me some standing terraces across from them, and we'll be fine. Like I look at like San Jose. And you've got you got the Ultras on one end, and you've got Epicentro on the other end, and Tectonic. I'm gonna forget their name right now, but there's another group that's in another corner, and they're just
same thing at Galaxy Games. Galaxians are on one side,
yeah,
ACB's in the middle on the other side, and Lars is in one corner. So
right, yeah, and I dig that setup, and if it's loud enough from each section, it's going to be intimidating everywhere you go, and it won't be one voice, but it'll still be a loud enough presence from each of them, and I know George he likes the idea of the LAFC style.
No, like I mean, like I kind of see what you guys want to do, but if you guys want to do that, the way I see it is like you got to have all the leadership together, and we either, we have to compromise, and we all have to do chants from each one of our group. Like Vigilantes, they do theirs.
Yeah, like each one has one
Fire
or two.
Squad, ours. Yeah,
sure.
I mean, we have our songs, and so, I mean, if you want that unity, we all have to combine our forces and like just sing everybody's chants, like all of our chants, not just one. But like, I mean, we tried it, like. During the last
last couple games, there were some cool ones where it was all in unison. It sounded really good.
Yeah, no, but like one of the things that like you wanted to do was, or I think that's what it was. You guys wanted to do a unified chant about singing in Fresno.
Oh, okay.
And so I was trying to get everybody together. I'm like, hey, let's meet up. Let's come up with a really cool chant. And let's just go from there. Come up with some ideas. I talked to Vigilantes, Escuadron, and I talked to the Fire Squad dude. I'm like, send me your capo. Let's meet up together. And And they're like, oh, well, I'm kind of busy right now. So, whatever ideas you have, send them to me and whatever. And I'm like, okay. And so we picked a date so we could meet up. And the only people that showed up was Vicente and his cousins or his family members. And so I was like, okay, well, I explained it to him what we should do. And then in the end, Ed kind of like jumped in and he's like, what if we do a chant that says, stay in Fresno, like a baseball chant? I'm like, that's super easy and lazy. Like I'm like I said, I'm not like, I mean, we're not doing a baseball chant in a football atmosphere, I mean, I didn't want to do that. And so he said, everybody decided, okay, yeah, let's do that. And I was like, all right, I guess. We decided, like, we're not going to do it. Because I got kind of, not angry, but I was, like, just upset. I'm like, we're a football supporter, like, group, all of us. And we're going to come up with a baseball chant? I'm like, it's too easy. I'm like, oh, whatever. If that's what you guys want to do, that's what you're going to do. And so that's why I kind of find it, like, it's going to be not difficult, but it's going to be a process if you want to get all that together.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I know that's something that we face, and it's whatever. I mean, we're going to have to figure it out, and if it doesn't pan out, then we'll have to do something different. I mean, you just got to be willing to kind of be flexible and adjust. But I think from the club perspective, like I said, it'd be nice to have some unison things going on. I understand there's a different kind of viewpoint on everything, and it's getting people to collaborate together, which in our country right now we see is a very difficult thing to do when people think differently. But but yeah, sitting down and talking, and I mean, I think one thing I've heard, the other two groups kind of say so far is like, we're all there for the same reason in a way.
Of course.
We have different reasons or different ways in which we're expressing ourselves, but we're all there to support the club.
Exactly.
And so there's some things that we can kind of put down to the side and get together for a few moments to really show like we're united for the players on the field that are competing for our city,
And that's one of the things that Vicente pointed out. We got to put down our egos and just come together. And if I mean, it's gonna be difficult. It's not gonna be easy.
Right.
But I mean, that's what needs to happen. I think.
That's what it is. Yeah. So on a lighter note, tell me about what you guys got going on here. You brought me huge
we got
beer.
Some
this is
Pine
great.
and Palm beer.
Pine and Palm.
Pine and Palm Brewing.
Yeah.
The best brewer in all of Fresno, as well as, I'm
Home of the
just gonna
Skulk.
say it.
Home of the Skulk.
Yeah.
On away
Home
days.
of the Skulk. Yes. That's
treated you guys pretty well,
we were meeting up during the away matches. We were going out to Pine and Palm, and it's our second home, and we've always been like, oh, Roger, we want to anything that we're like, hey, can we do this? He's all, yeah. Why would I say no? It's great. So we're just like we're huge fans, and we're showing his name off on our new scarves. So all of those beautiful new scarves that you're able to pre-sale right now for $25 at fresnoskulk.org, or you can Venmo me or PayPal me, and I'll get that information to you soon. But it's got that name on it because we're doing a collaboration stuff. We made these jerseys, and they're also on our website, and it's got like as if it were like El Mexicano on yours. We've got Pine and Palm across the front.
It's so awesome.
And it looks great. It's rad, and we just love the beer. We love Roger. He's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the brewery scene has been so welcoming to the soccer crowd.
Yeah.
Like all of them. I mean, Hot PK was a spot, Full Circle's a spot, Tag was a spot, Pine and Palm's a spot. I mean, it's just like, we all know beer and soccer goes hand in hand,
yes,
right?
Yes, it does.
But it's been really cool to see that all these businesses have really latched on to different soccer culture and become a part of it. And it's like, I just think it's, to me, one of the things that our club should be doing is elevating every local business that we possibly can. And I feel like our fans and all the clubs and everybody involved with anything football related in Fresno and the Valley should help these companies do as good as they can. And showing up early morning on Saturday and drinking as much beer as you can and having them have a good weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good because now they're giving back and they're helping support you guys. And it's a community. It really is. And if we can use football as a platform to elevate our community, I mean, that's the purpose of why we're here.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all doing. It doesn't matter who you are, Man City, Liverpool, West Ham. Everybody has their own little brewery, so we're contributing to their business, and so we're helping everybody out. You know, like, it's pretty cool what's happening. So like, I mean, as long as we keep doing that, especially once we get that team and everybody's down, oh, it's gonna blow up again.
Yeah.
Because I think we lost it when Fresno FC left. Because like all the businesses, I think, and then with the pandemic, that didn't help.
It's crazy how it all kind of went hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts. I mean, I just the pandemic stuff is so interesting. I mean, we had hoped that maybe this year we could do a League 2 side or something over summer. Yeah. With everything that was going on, it was impossible to find a venue that was available and actually be able to put something together. So in a way, it was like Fresno FC went away right at the right time.
Right. Yeah.
They weren't going to play next season.
Yeah,
they weren't going to play. Yeah, exactly. So it was like, I don't know. Some things work in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think good things are coming. Once we get this team, everything's going to change.
I feel that way too, and I feel like it left people with a little bit of an empty feeling.
Oh, of course.
And then the pandemic hit, and now everyone's so hungry to get out.
Yeah.
And I go around, I've been to a couple events since things have opened up, and it's like you can just tell people are like chomping at the bit to come back. And the fact that, you know, our community lost something to what a lot of people would criticize as outsiders. And now the team's coming back with a history of being here, with local ownership, with local staff, with people, with, you know, our focus will be on local players. It's going to feel like a hometown team, even though it's at the pro level. And I think people can really kind of rally behind that.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was going to say earlier. Because I've seen what you've been trying to push, like the whole valley. And that's what we've been doing. Unknowingly, that's what we've been doing. I mean, we've been going to Reedley, Lemoore. And so anybody who's on that team, we're going to be supporting them, 100%. So, I mean, I don't know where the players are going to be coming from. So if they're going to be from the Valley, I mean, best believe we're going to be chanting for them.
No doubt. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, it's all going to come down to, you know, getting players to sign contracts. I mean, that's a business endeavor in itself. And I know all these players want to play at home, and we want them to play at home. And it's getting to a point where they feel like they're getting what they deserve, and we meet our budgetary reasons. But yeah, our focus is going to be on local players. I mean, you look at Fuego in the past; it was predominantly all local guys. I mean, you look at a lot of USL 2 teams or previously PDL, and they're not always made up of a lot of locals. Maybe some of them are like college players like that are in the area or whatnot, but Fuego's always been made up of a ton of local players. The Christian Cheneys and Elliot Hordes and Milton Blancos and Orlando Ramirez and like all these guys that are from here. And so I think we really believe that there's enough players now that can compete at the professional League 1 level that are from here that we can assemble a team made up of mostly local players, and I think that'll be really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then, I mean, like, they're going to feel like pros. Because, like, you've seen what we've done with everybody else, like Milton Blanco or Cheney. We've created a chance for them. So all these local kids.
Yeah, they feel a little bit. There's a little bit of star power to these guys.
Yeah, so... Best believe all those
and even the guys that weren't from here that came and played here. I mean, the guys like CJ Cochran and Ramon and all these other JJ. I mean, all these Zach, Arun. I mean, when Arun broke his leg.
Oh yeah.
I was in the so heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking.
I know it broke his leg, but it broke all of our hearts. We were just oh my God.
I love that guy. I love that guy. It's so crazy that. I was standing on the sideline when it happened. He got hooked. He stepped over a ball that he won, and then he got hooked, and his leg just stuck, and then his body kept going. And I saw his foot like sitting sideways down there, and I actually went to the hospital with him later that night.
Yeah.
And right as I got to walk into the hospital room, and our medical team, Jason Gray is our medical guy, did a fabulous job of there was a room ready for him. The ambulance got him there immediately. They took care of him. Like it was incredible to see the work that all these people do to make sure to take care of a huge trauma situation. The guy's leg's broken.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't, for whatever reasons, I don't know if it was religious purposes or whatnot, but he wouldn't take some of the drugs to sedate him. So I was there with him and his girlfriend at the time. We were holding his hands as they were shifting his leg back into place.
Yeah.
And you would think like it's like when someone dislocates their finger and it pops back in. It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, of course.
Like there was 2 doctors squeezing his leg back into a straight position so that they could cast it up and get it ready for the surgery in the morning. And that guy has the most tenacity I've ever. He just gritted it out. And I mean, everyone in the room was just looking at him like, oh, shit, this is nuts. But those guys felt like family. And when they would talk to me about their experience playing here, they would all feel like, I've never been taken in by a group of people, by the fans, the club, whoever it was, that made me feel instantly like I was part of this community. And so it's like even players that come from the outside, they become Valley residents because they're like, this is you know, and some players like Sam Strong's still here. Yeah. He still comes back and spends the off seasons here. So
that's rad.
It's really cool that people just kind of fall in love with this community and the community falls in love with them too.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, shit. Glad to. It makes you feel good to be part of that kind of, you know, even for these guys who, you know, could play anywhere. They come here, they play for us, and want to stick around. You know, I mean,
they do.
Nuts.
Yeah. They still interact with the social media and stuff.
Stay here in Fresno, come on.
You know, you know, I had thought that too. So, I mean, I grew up here, and there was this sentiment when I was growing up here in the 80s and 90s that like Fresno sucks. Yeah. It sucks. It's not fun. There's nothing to do, blah, blah, blah. But I think this younger generation is growing up realizing, like, Fresno is cool. Right. There's a lot of amazing things there. This is a great place to live. And
it's getting better all the time.
It's getting better all the time. But when I had experience with the Grizzlies players and the Fresno FC players that are from all over the world, people are like, we love it here. People talk all this shit. Like, I don't know why anyone talks shit. Like, we love it here. Yeah. It's great. So...
And you gotta fight that because it's like you're still hearing that from people around the state that don't know. They don't know what Fresno's like because they've never been here or they've only seen what you see driving up the 99.
All the Bay Area people are buying up all of our houses now.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I heard. But we'll see what how they feel about the heat.
Yeah, I know.
Stick around. We'll embrace it for summer. The tough guys stick it out.
We'll see you in August.
Yeah.
Well, all right. To wrap it up, tell us where can we find you guys? How do people join? How do they contact you?
Okay, cool. There's a bunch of ways. Instagram at Fresno Skulk. Twitter, we try to keep Twitter up. It's at Fresno Skulk as well. There's Facebook, Fresno Skulk, and we have a group, I guess you call it, on Facebook. So
okay.
If you want to join the group, that's kind of how we were doing things for a little while. While we were fairly active. But I think right now probably Instagram's the easiest way to reach us. And if you want to DM us or whatever, there's FresnoSkulk.org is our website, and so we've got lots of stuff for sale there. We sell things so that we can do stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like we're making any money off of it.
Sure.
But like all of our smoke and we make stickers to give out. We don't charge for most of the stuff. We're able to give it out because we're bringing in some of the stuff that we sell.
Yeah, it's great.
And it helps. So, am I missing anything? What else is there?
No, I think that's yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Find us.
That's awesome.
Find us, and I mean, joining is like we're gonna start now that we're getting close and things are opening up. We're gonna start meeting regularly just to have some beers.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
We're gonna meet out at Pine and Palm, hoist a few pints.
Maybe listen to some punk music.
All kinds of different punk music, and yeah.
If you want to have a crazy time, come hang out with us.
There we go. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I super enjoyed this. I can't wait for next year to happen and see you guys in the stadium rocking out. So
looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you guys.
Right,
Cheers. See you guys. Cheers.
Cheers.